it going, guys? GLFaze back. Sorry, definitely took me a lot longer than I expected to try to get this video out. Thanks to my video editing software decided to take a dump on me for a few weeks. I had to get a professional fix it up. Now we are back on track and doing some more talks and more wish list, I guess we'd call it, for Halo Wars 2. Now, after the past couple of weeks of playing Halo Wars, notice that there were so far two modes. One was Domination and the other one was Deathmatch. Deathmatch was pretty good. I'd say it lasted a lot longer than Domination. And Domination, well, it kind of, I'd say it's okay, but I'd say Creative Assembly or 343, which one might be working on that design, need to rack up that number a little bit higher than 1,000, because depending on which parts are already taken over, the game ends real quick if you're not fast enough. But enough on that. The talks I'm going to be doing about this game. Some ups, some downs, but I'll let you be the judge on that. It's definitely not what I would expect completely. Halo Wars 2 definitely looks like almost a complete reskin of Halo Wars 1, which was something I kind of wish we were going to avoid, but hopefully maybe these new extra barracks around the map might fix that issue just a little bit. As Halo Wars 1 had that ability that you could build just extra little barrack bases, mini barrack bases in certain areas. Like only 2 or 3 maps had this, unfortunately, however, so it wasn't very common. I'm guessing almost every map's gonna have to have this, but personally I wish that they did it just like any other RTS, where you could actually build wherever you want, regardless of which area it was, because that was the one thing that made RTS gameplay really more interesting, is that you wouldn't actually know exactly where your enemy's base is, because you could build anywhere you want. There could be like a small mini base or a very large one in certain areas, depending on which areas you checked. However, because of these fixed position bases, it's definitely gonna kind of destroy the surprise tactic, I would say, in RTSs. Because now, like, certain players that have already at least played a map once or twice, they're already automatically going to know exactly where the enemy is going to be set up in the most logical spots. And that is unfortunate. That kind of destroys at least a little bit of half of the gameplay. The gameplay is actually pretty phenomenal, though it definitely feels a lot like a fast-paced RTS like StarCraft, that's for sure, where it's just about basically which one's got the larger force. Just building up larger armies, and especially vehicles, is what absolutely would bend the rules and give you a chance to gain an upper hand on enemies. But I don't know. I was expecting maybe a little bit more from Creative Assembly and 343, especially Creative Assembly, the masters of RTS gameplay creation, all that stuff. But I don't know who's making the call for this. Hopefully they might be able to put maybe more stuff. What I would actually hope for, fingers crossed, is that I don't think they're going to take this off. I think it's going to be the same as it always is in Halo Wars 1 and as we've seen in Halo Wars 2, where your bases will be put in fixed positions. But maybe there might be some more they can do. Maybe, hopefully, they can be able to, I'd say, I don't know, put more gear out in the field. If any of you have played plenty of the Halo franchise, whether it's Halo 2, 3, a lot of the first-person shooters, and even a little bit of the campaign, especially the campaign of Halo Wars 1, was definitely what brought me into this a little bit more, just because there was more equipment, there was more stuff around the map that kind of showed a great imprint of yourself as either the player or the enemy, showing like, okay, these are definitely based areas, because you can see all the either the UNSC walls and lookout stations, towers, and the Covenant with their barricades and their shield systems. That was what I was really kind of hoping they would put on there. A real kind of imprint to let you know that the enemy is really digging in a certain area. Unfortunately,
Upgrade complete.
I think Halo Wars 1 was probably the only one that just didn't do this. It was so strange. Every RTS game I know of, almost every RTS game, even StarCraft, had the ability to just build just about anywhere you wanted. It wasn't strategically built areas, however, not like, I'd say, I don't know, Command & Conquer or Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth kind of style, but at least you were able to build in any area you wanted, so it wasn't completely predictable on where you would be. This, however, it seems more predictable. You're going to be able to know where your enemy already is. And even though, for skilled RTS players that play this, that may not be too much of an issue because you still have to have a decent sized army. That's for sure. But I don't know, maybe more tech, more equipment, I think, could have been added to this game to make it even more interesting. Regardless of its kind of cartoonish graphics, as a lot of players have complained about, like, oh, it's too cartoonish, it's too Borderlands style graphics, blah blah blah. To tell you the truth, that I don't think that's really gonna be much of an issue at all. That's not an issue in my book. The real serious issues here is usually simply tactic and gameplay for me. It's the ability to be able to really show an imprint of yourself on the map. And unfortunately, this game doesn't quite have it. Also, another silly thing is that apparently the cap lock of how many units you can have on the field, apparently infantry units, almost most types of infantry units take up 2 to 3 spaces, which is that's really ridiculous, I think. I think that should have been probably fixed. I'm pretty sure they're going to patch that up, because definitely there's one little issue about this game that I definitely think needs to be addressed, is that if they are going to have that many kind of units that are just going to be overlocking and overloading the cap, there's got to be they got to be having a higher cap level, especially how small some of these units are. Some of these infantry units, whether it be on the UNSC or the Covenant side, are pretty small, almost Command & Conquer like small. But Command & Conquer at least made that up by allowing a larger cap lock. Because they were so small, they decided that they would build a whole bunch of them. And that's what I loved about that game, is that they really made an effort to build as many units as possible. And definitely there are certain units that should not be part of the cap lock, that maybe there's a limit because of how strong they are. Oh, here you go. Yeah, see, I like the new command bar system that they put on here. Now, this is something I actually liked. It was not quite what I was expecting, but I actually like it. I like that they give you the options, just like when I talked about, like, you know, a research tree that would limit to the type of researches you could gain access to. And that was really, really nice. That's some effort right there. At least, yeah, the command bar system, they put effort into that. That's for sure. And I like that. I gotta admit, I like the snipers, too, that they finally were able to put on here. Snipers would automatically have a cloak system on them, and would only be revealed by either like a type of unit that uses radar or something, detection unit, I guess, or if they fire, which I'm hoping that they might give them a command, whether to be defensive or aggressive, or not attack at all would be pretty nice. I'm sure these snipers are going to be serving a lot more of an effort, especially because I've already seen the artillery unit that the UNSC uses. I think it was called either the Fox Cannon or the Cougar. I'll definitely do some more talks about that unit. But nonetheless, certain options I think would have been pretty awesome to put in there. And nonetheless, this game is not complete yet. We still got another year to go before it's actually somewhat ready. no doubt they're probably going to be hard at work just getting that campaign set up and then all that jazz. I like the fact that at least, yeah, with the barricades you can just keep spawning units in certain areas, so that kind of, you know, fixes some of the issues up. At the most, the upgrade system is definitely a little different, and that is that you would have to upgrade your facility's actual rank, I guess. I guess this facility has a rank now, which is not bad. It definitely, it's what you have to focus on a lot if you want to get new units out in the field, and especially new upgrades. So that's a nice little effect. That really certainly puts pressure on you as a player. Clearly, you have to build as many bases as possible, and oh boy, here comes a large group of enemies. I was not expecting them to get those guys out of there. Oof. Oh man. So much for taking that area. I don't know what's going on with these guys. I think they're glitching out. They're not supposed to move that slow. I don't know what's going on there. Clearly some bugs that still need to be fixed. Oh my god. Let's see. Try to get some guys. Some ODSTs in there. I might keep them busy. And some healing would be nice. Now, it's interesting I've noticed is that in some of these screenshots, these brutes seem to only have access to 2 or 3 kind of vehicles, and that is the Marauder. Love that they're bringing the Marauder back. I love the Marauder, and it's probably gonna have all kinds of upgrades that will involve probably more troops on there. Is that we've seen the Marauder in first person in Halo 3 before. That was a nice pick, and it was definitely like a sand drifter in a way. And of course the Brute Chopper also, another nice little vehicle, of course, that we would expect Brutes to have. Did not see any ghosts, so we're assuming, I don't know what's going on there. I'm thinking that ghosts are going to be part of a different leader faction, because I played as the Brutes, and I'll do another gameplay on them because I love playing as Covenant. They're pretty awesome. But noticing that they are not part of this faction, so I'm guessing we'll probably see them in the campaign, but we're not going to see them as like a unit to be used by our Brute Chieftain. What the heck was the guy's name? Not Tartarus. Sorry. Completely lost track of what that guy's name is. Oh well. But at least knowing that there's going to be clearly other factions. Because we saw those ghosts on the screenshot, so they're clearly going to be part of another leader faction, regardless of what it is. It's nice to see that they're still doing the 3 faction leaders. UNSC will have 3 leaders, as the Covenant will also have 3 leaders. But I think they're going to take a really a different change of style, because clearly these units, known as the Banished, are like heretic outcasts, I would assume, of the Covenant. Composed of mostly brutes, which doesn't surprise me one bit. So we're going to be seeing possible straight-up Covenant units that will be using the common Covenant tech, as with the brutes, we'll be using Savage tech, like the Brute Spiker and the Brute Launcher and stuff. It's a shame that the Hunters still haven't been given, I don't know, maybe more. All units, I kind of expected the Hunters to be kind of more along the lines of a special unit. I know that they play the usual role of destroying vehicles, but let's be real here. We've seen Hunters in first-person shooter in action. They are deadly, not just to vehicles, but troops as well. We've seen them. If the blasters don't hit you first, the melee combat that they use is absolutely devastating. And that's something I think they might need to work on a little bit. Certain games like even Dawn of War, where certain units that are technically not designed for combat would still have the option to use combat if necessary. And that's just not quite on here. and that's maybe unfortunate. I mean, you can build certain units that are specifically meant for combat.
Commander power ready.
The only units I've expected of
Infantry,
to see
level
that
one,
is probably the brutes with their hammers and the Spartans with their combat. But nonetheless, it's decent
Grenade
enough.
throw. Research.
However, this is the end of the time. Looks like we're about to wrap this up. Yeah, lost. Even with plenty of our equipment, we still lost. That's the fun thing about domination. All right, guys, I'm gonna do another gameplay. Do some more talks about it. I'll probably be playing as the brute on this one. But other than that, I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip side on the next video I upload. All right, see ya.